All right, thanks everybody for joining. We have a lot of people today, so if you have any questions, feel free to obviously you can raise your hand. I think Nick, Chris, if you guys don't mind helping, watch for people raising their hand. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in to the chat. All right, thanks for joining everybody. Today our topic is Lean Six Sigma in action. I'm really excited to highlight. We have a lot of green belt projects and black belt projects in flight. And thank you, Iris, for joining and volunteering, right? Volunteering to present an update on your project, which will be really great. So thank you for that. Okay, so today's agenda is we're going to do some welcome and introductions. For anyone who hasn't been here, feel free to introduce yourself via the chat. I have a couple of announcements, and we're going to talk a little bit about Lean Six Sigma here at Berkeley. And then Iris is going to give a presentation on her Greenbelt project, which is about reducing cycle time and new hire process. And then we'll review some of the BPMO support resources that we have and potentially some new ones as well. So let's go and get started. If this is your first time here, or even if it's not, if you want to introduce yourself via chat, that'd be great. Just let us know your name or whatever you want us to call you and what team you're in and what makes you excited about process. We have a lot of people outside of Berkeley too, which is really great. Thanks, Nathan, and some folks from UCLA as well. Exciting. So real quick, let's get through some announcements so we can get to Iris's presentation because I know she's just dying to share her amazing project with everyone. So for those of you that might not have seen the announcement, we do have a white belt training that's online now. It's online, it's free. It takes about maybe 20, 30 minutes to get through. That's available. The link to that is available on our website and also on this presentation. And of course, we have yellow belt classes every month. We actually have one tomorrow. These are still monthly, so feel free to go to the website and pick a date that you want to take, sign up. These are the one day classes. And our next scheduled green belt class is going to be scheduled for the end of July, and then that first Monday in August. So if you're interested, go to the website and there's a registration form for that if you're interested in taking the green belt. If you're also interested in black belt, um, um, go ahead and sign up for this. And then when I reach out to you about the green belt, let me know if you're interested in do the black belt add-on, which is an additional 3 days. So it'd be 9 days total instead of six. Okay. Chris, Nick, do you guys have any other announcements you'd like to add?
Not announcements, but just watching our the chat. It is amazing to see not only groups from outside UC Berkeley, but how many different teams. I was trying to count as the announcements and introductions going through now. I think I lost count around 16 or 17 different teams at UC Berkeley. So it is great to see this community growing.
And I
Yeah.
would just I would just extend a thank you. We've been building this community of practice for, I don't know, 6 years now, and I think we started with 12 members at meeting number one. So it's great to see all the faces. And the biggest goal I had for this, I just want to share, was to actually have work that's happened on the campus be presented here in some fashion. And we had a few of these, and this is, I think, the second or third time we've actually had real work that has happened on the campus. So I'm really excited to see this. It was sort of a dream of mine. And so thank you all, and thanks to Iris for really contributing to actual work happening on the campus.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it is exciting. I'm actually going to go through how many departments, within and even outside of Berkeley as well. So yeah, it's really great um, that we have the participation that we do. Okay, real quick on the roadmap. So this roadmap is the fiscal year roadmap. So we're coming up near the end, and so we're going to have to start thinking about additional topics for every other month. As you can see, what we started with talking about best practices and process facilitation. We talked about change management. We did root cause analysis. The last time we met in February, we talked about utilizing AI for process. And today, obviously, we're talking about Lean Six Sigma in action. And And our last session for this fiscal year will be process as a new normal, getting buy-in, right? And so by the next session in June, we'll also talk about the next year's roadmap and different topics that we'll be talking about. So great, exciting stuff. All right, so let's dive right in. And again, feel free to jump in, ask any questions, or ask your questions in chat because Nick and Chris are monitoring them there as well. So Lean Six Sigma in action. So this is directly from our website. So, as hopefully everyone knows that, BPMO office, we're committed to driving operational excellence, and we're all about building capability and empowering people and giving them the tools to be able to identify areas for improvement and then actually have the tools and the capability to make those changes and make those changes stick, right? So why does Lean Six Sigma matter at Berkeley? I'm not going to read that word for word, but really at the end of the day, we want to have a universal language, right? Lean Six Sigma is a is a skill, it's a mindset, and it's a tool set for you to be able to identify waste, eliminate waste, reduce variations in your process to make a difference in your everyday work. So to get into a little bit what Nick was saying as far as all the people that are introducing themselves on chat. So we've been providing the Lean Six Sigma training for just a little over a year now. And since then, we certified about 258 yellow belts, and there'll be 10 more after tomorrow. So also after tomorrow, 268, assuming that they all pass the test, right? For those of you that have taken the one-day class, we've certified 27 green belts and 7 black belts. And of those, 21 are actively working on certification projects for the green and black belts. And just for those of you that may not know, the green belt class is 6 days. And there's 2 parts to getting your green belt certification and black belt certification. The first part is taking the class and passing the theoretical portion. Then you do the practical portion, which is getting a project and then utilizing the tools that you learned, which is what Iris is going to share with us about how she's doing it with her green belt. And then once you pass the project part, then you get your full certification. So 21 of those are in process right now across the campus. And I realized that this is a nice chart. I'm not expecting you to read the fine print here, but I think this looks kind of cool, and you can kind of see the how broad the Lean Six Sigma training has been across campus, from obviously VCA, and then within VCA, a lot of BRS folks, UDAR, student affairs. You can kind of see the list there. So it's truly across campus, everywhere from URSO to the dean's office, LNS dean's office to RSSP, facilities, UDAR, library, study abroad summer session. So it's really great to see that across campus people are taking the time to learn this universal language and get some additional tools that they can use to make improvements across campus.
We've
It's
had vice
great.
chancellors take the class as well.
That's
I
right.
will add that.
Mark Fisher took the Yellow Belt class. He loved it. For those of you that have taken the class, you know that there's a interactive Lego game part of it, which ends up being everyone's favorite part of the game. And if you take the Green Belt class, you get to play the Lego games more. They make it a little bit more difficult and challenging for you, but it's an extremely valuable lesson, which is one of the reasons why, as of right now, we don't offer the Yellow Belt or Green Belt online right now, because we want to get as many people in person as possible, because it really is interactive um, and a great way to learn. Any questions before we give the floor to Iris? Okay, Iris, do you want me to open up? Do you want to? I can share the your presentations. Are
Yeah,
okay, Iris?
yeah,
Okay, and just let me know when you want me to skip to the next slide.
sounds good. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Iris, and I work for University Development and Alumni Relations. Before I dive into my Lean Six Sigma project, I do want to give a shout out to Mike and his team for bringing in Lean Six Sigma to campus. Um, I think it's a really important certification to have, not only for professional development purposes, but also in the current environment where we're having to do more with a lot less. It's really important to put on our Lean Six Sigma hat and start identifying waste, start working more efficiently to ensure that we're doing our work at the best optimal level. So with that, my project focused on reducing the cycle time in the new hire process. And we'll move on to the next slide. So of course, we have our Lean Six Sigma green belt hat on, or yellow belt. And we're going to use the DMAIC process. So, of course, we're going to start with define, where we're going to focus on steps 1 and 2, project selection and scope, and then defining our project why, along with all of the deliverables that Mike and his team are going to make sure that you meet in order to move on to the next phase. Next slide. All right, so my project selection and scope focused on reducing the average cycle time of the onboarding tasks by streamlining the process and eliminating non-value add steps in order to create a better hiring process to ensure that our new hires were prepared on their first day with access to all of our campus systems, along with their equipment. And we also wanted to focus on seeing if we could reduce any manual parts of the process. And of course, this project couldn't have been done without my sponsor, other than having the green belt or yellow belt or black belt. I think the most important project team member is your sponsor, because they're advocating for you, making sure that you have the time and the tools needed in order to complete your project. Next slide. All right, so as you can see, here is my amazing project team. We got into a room together. We listed out the timeline of the new hire process for UDAR. From there, we were able to identify any bottlenecks, pain points, and any manual parts of the process. As you can see, there's red, blue, and green throughout. Next slide. And then another important part here in the define phase was defining the voice of the customer. One of the ways that we did that was by collecting a feedback survey. So I had a feedback survey that went to our hiring managers. I also send out surveys to our new hires. We have a 1-month survey, a 3-month survey, 6-month, and the 1-year mark survey, where I'm constantly monitoring their onboarding to make sure that they have the tools that they need in order to be successful in their role, that we're listening and addressing any issues that are coming up. At this point in the process, an issue that was
Almost.
constantly
Yeah,
coming
almost.
up. So sorry. An issue that was coming up was our new hires not being prepared on their first day, meaning they didn't have system access or their laptop was delayed. We were reactively addressing issues, meeting with our department partners, IT, addressing issues after they came up, and trying to find workable solutions. Next slide. And what became apparent, critical to quality, was timely day one readiness, that our new hire had all the systems and equipment functioning on their very first day. Next slide. So from there, we're defining the project why, setting an improvement goal. And while there was no direct cost reduction, because I'm still getting paid the same to do this work, there was an increase on the return on investment for the new hire, because we were minimizing lost productivity due to delay in equipment access. And also wanting to reduce the time spent on manual entry for check-ins, and with that time saved, can focus on putting our attention to other needs. All right, so this is my SIPOC, so high level view. I worked with Mike to fill this out and kind of focus on what was the beginning and what was the end of my process. Next slide. Here are my amazing team members. I think they are on the call as well. This work couldn't have been done without them. Someone, or rather something that isn't listed on this slide, which I think Mike will be okay with me sharing, is the use of AI in my project. Shout out to Gemini. Uh, Not using it to do the work, but more of a thought partner to see, like, am I moving in the right direction? Next slide. All right, so stakeholder analysis. So as you can see, listed out are all the stakeholders that have a stake in the process, what their role is in the process, and how we're, going to keep them at bay. This was one of the first ways that I used Gemini in the process to make sure that I had everything listed out correctly. Next slide. All right, so at this point in the process is when you're going to meet with uh, either Mike or someone on the team, and you're going to go over and ensure that you've met every step in the define phase. And at that point, Mike is going to tell you, go, no go. You got to rework something. And hopefully he'll tell you you can move forward. And with that, you're going to move over to the measure phase, where you're going to figure out, can I measure it? How well? How we're going to measure it? What's my baseline performance? Are we adjusting our project goal at this point in the time? And all the different deliverables that you're going to need in order to complete the measure phase. All right. So in order to measure, I created this data collection sheet. So as you can see, high level view, I have all of the information that I need along with important dates. Um, for me, the most important column here are the last two columns. If there was a delay, meaning that there was rework needed for that particular individual, and any notes, noting down any variation throughout the process. So for example, if there was an employee who is not new to UC Berkeley, so they're already in the UC system, um, they're not needing to create their CalNet ID, which was becoming a real pain point for me in this process. So we're noting down any variation and highlighting any delays. And from here, I threw in my data into Gemini and I asked, I can send you the prompt that I used, you know, find out the baseline performance. And from here, Gemini was able to help me confirm demand and takt time. Next slide. And as you can see here is also my lead time. And you can see my standard deviation, and as well as another summary of my baseline performance. Next slide. And here's a beautiful graph that Gemini also helped me with. So you can see the distribution of the onboarding lead time. Next slide. We're going forward, Rebecca. Next slide. All right. Oh, so based on all of that data, we're looking to refine our project improvement goal. We're finding out that computer late was cited as a reason for delay. And so that's getting the gears thinking. Maybe we should take a closer look at that. Why is IT only being the IT ticket being opened after the CalNet ID? You know, can this be done in parallel? You know, like mind blown. Why didn't I think of that? But this is why it's really important to go through the Lean Six Sigma methodologies to, you know, have the data speak to you. All right. At this point in the project, you're again going to either meet with Mike or someone on the BPMO team. They're going to go over your work. They're going to look at your data collection plan. They're going to look at your measurement system analysis. They're going to make sure that you have a graph representing your baseline performance. Uh, they're going to talk you through your improvement goal for your project. Make sure if you need to refine anything before you move forward. And if you need to update your project charter, you'll be doing that at this time as well. And then from there, they'll be telling you go or no go. And at this point in time, Mike told me it's okay, you can move forward. And that gets us to the analyze phase. So, where we're looking at what is potentially causing the variation in defects, which we kind of had an idea. I discussed it in some previous slides. And we're really determining the true root cause of the issue, along with all the deliverables. So here we have our cause and effect matrix where we're putting weight on certain steps in the process. And we can see the total weighted score. And because the EID creation was a step in the process that I did not have control over, I decided to focus on the laptop delivery and the IT laptop ticket, since that was the next highest weighted score. So by focusing on the laptop delivery and IT tickets, we were trying to think of what is a way that we can get that part of the process instead of being at the end, could we move it, to the beginning or somewhere in the middle I where we're not working in a reactive mode, where we're being more proactive with the information that we have and at the time that we have it. Next slide. And so we're looking at all of the deliverables, again, meeting with Mike and the team at this point in the process, making sure that you've done everything needed for this phase before we move forward to the next. Improve, which I think is the most exciting part of the process, right? So we're thinking about possible solutions, and we're thinking about piloting the solution and implementing it along with all the different deliverables. Next slide. And so, as stated before, we're thinking about decoupling the IT ticket from the creation of the CalNet ID. Is there a placeholder system that we can introduce so that IT can get the hardware ordered while they wait for the final step, which is the configuration of the laptop for the new employee? While we did have a monthly new hire table, it was a very manual process to get that updated, and I was sending it out at the end of the month for the next month, which wasn't very efficient. At the time, I was learning Smartsheet. If you all haven't heard of Smartsheet, it's a really great tool that I highly recommend. So the thought process at this time was to move over that monthly hire table that was a Word doc and move it over to Smartsheet so that we could use those capabilities in that program to get us working smarter, not harder. And one thing that, oh yeah, you can move it to the next slide. As you can see, it's very similar, and I modeled it after the data collection sheet that I had created to look at the process. So as you can see, it has a ton of columns, and what's really great is based on the column, the information that my department partners, such as facilities, IT, or financial planning and analysis, I created automatic reports that go out on a biweekly basis with the information that they need to do their work. So for IT, it was knowing the employee when their start date was, if their CalNet ID was created at that point in time, so that they could prepare to configure that computer. For facilities, the employee name, when their start date is, are they going to be assigned a phone line? Where are they going to be seated in the office? Um, yeah, just really great automatic report. Don't even have to think about it, um, and just a time saver. Next slide. So at this point, you're making a business case. So for us, the most significant financial benefit was reducing the lag time and reducing the time that the employee is unable to work at the full capacity due to not having their equipment or the access to the systems that they need. As we know, a terrible onboarding experience, it has an effect on whether somebody is going to stay or go. Um, so it was very critical for us to ensure that our new hires were having a really great first year, because then they leave, that's money lost because you're having to go through the recruitment process so soon. And yeah, we all know all the time and work that is put into onboarding somebody. And so at this point in time, again, meeting with Mike and the team, you, they're deciding whether you're going to go uh, forward or you're going to go back and redefine any of the previous slides. And here we're going to go off the checklist, moving on to control, um, where we're figuring out what is the new process baseline. So how are we going to sustain these improvements? And have we created any best practices and all the different deliverables that we'll be doing at this point in this phase? So the new process was measured using that data collection sheet, while at the same time I was filling out that new smart sheet. So for a little while there, I was filling out two sheets with the same information, which is okay, right? Because we're collecting data. Um, and again, we were hoping to reduce the rework and delay that our internal partners and new hires were experiencing. And we monitor this improved process through that smart sheet that I had shared before with our automatic biweekly reports, moving from reactive to proactive approach. And what's really great is that moving to this proactive approach actually eliminated quarterly meetings that I was having with our departments because there were no more issues to address because everybody was getting the things that they needed when they needed them. And here is that data on our Y, which Gemini helped me beautify. And then, of course, project closure, which is just summarizing how Lean Six Sigma helped us, really map out the process, identify our pain points, determine what our baseline performance is. I think that was the really important part, was collecting that data and also learning, what our partners were experiencing, what our new hires were experiencing, so that we can address those issues. And of course, being proactive, eliminating waste, allowed us to work more efficiently and increase productivity to other areas. And then the last steps after this, if you do everything, Mike will tell you that your project is good to go to the head honchos at Lean Six Sigma. And I think that's the end, right?
Yep, that's it. Thanks, Iris. That's amazing. You've been doing a great job, and I know it's a lot of work. So good. It's great.
Yeah,
Great
but
job.
it's
Does
good
anybody?
work.
Yeah, it's great work. Does anybody have any questions or anything for Iris? Feel free to either unmute and ask your question, or you can also do it through chat if you have anything. We'll give a minute to see if anybody has any questions.
Teo has a question.
Yeah, Theo, go ahead.
Super excited. Thanks, Iris, for walking us through your project. I had a question on maybe this is also a Mike question, like the placeholder for IT, since that's out of your control. Do you think there's a chance this might lead to a larger conversation about being able to implement something like that?
Hopefully, I mean, I feel like that part of the process, I'm not in those rooms to like be able to have that conversation, but hopefully there's someone on the call that will bring me into a meeting and I can spew my green belt methodologies on
Yeah.
them and hopefully create solutions.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the beauty of this is it really highlights, it helps us break down those silos and understand what else is going on, So, you know, um, either the sponsor or myself can help escalate these kind of things, at least have the conversation and see if they're willing to, talk through maybe, making some improvements in the area.
There's a couple
So,
questions. There's a hand up and one in the chat as well. So we'll go with the hand up for Ingrid first, and then there's one in the chat we'll follow up with.
Yeah, great presentation. I was kind of moving on the same lines as Tayo, Iris. I know like a lot of IT reasoning is for security purposes and sitting on some of those campus committees, it's usually for risk and all those good kind of things. I just wondered if were there other workflows that you don't control that impacted your root cause, and how did you go about kind of dealing with that? Um, Especially with with the hiring process, I hear, there's so much dependency on other workflows that you don't own or
Yeah.
control. So I just wondered, how are you able to address those overall? And maybe it's not just with the IT one, maybe it's HR, maybe it's a combination of your partners. How are you able to address root cause, or at least try to that do something that's in your control, even though the
Yeah.
workflow is not?
Yeah. So, really great question. So, for the IT specifically, right, they have their ticketing system. And one of the solutions that we thought was, hey, as soon as we have a new hire, why doesn't the manager submit the ticket, right, in the IT system? But the problem with that was they didn't want the ticket sitting for so long. And so that workaround was that smart sheet. Even though I don't have control of their or, skin in the game in terms of their IT ticketing system, kind of being creative in the solution that um, we create in order to identify that and address that root cause.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. So the next one comes from Katie in the chat. And I see Francisco, you'll go after this question. So Katie asked a question about, Iris, what your approach was to identify your project team.
So I got really lucky that my project team are actually my team. I had Veronica Tranolieri, who was on this call, who was also my predecessor in this role. So having that history of how things are done at UC Berkeley are done in this process was really tremendously valuable for me. Um, Having Robin, who is the recruiter and has skin in the game, right? To ensure that this process goes smoothly for the people that she's hiring was also really great. Yeah, I can't. So that's how I identified my project team. Um, I hope that answers your question. But I will say the project sponsor and having someone advocate on your behalf is so important.
Thanks, Iris. We'll move on to Francisco and then we'll follow up with Jeremy Engelman's question.
Okay.
Hi, Iris. Thank you for your presentation. Question I have is, were you started this project and then you fell into smart sheets and started to understand smart sheets, or did you plan always using smart sheets to use within this project? And if it was something that you were planning on doing, how long did it take you to understand the smart sheet process?
So when I started this project, I was very early on in learning Smartsheet. I was like, I think this is because I was using it in other work. And so I was like learning the intricacies of Smartsheet and learning how to do automations and thinking like, this is a really great tool. Let me see if I can translate the work that we had in different documents and throw it into Smartsheet. And from there, it's kind of been learning on the go and being able
Gotcha.
to like, okay, I did this automation, and there are some courses that you can take in Smartsheet, some free classes. There are a lot of YouTube videos. I will say it is very user friendly. Um, I'm not an expert, but it's super easy to learn.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So we will, before we move on to Jeremy, there was just a question up higher about the sharing out. Christina asked about the sharing out of the slides. Yes, we will be sharing out the slides post presentation. Jeremy, Mr. Engelman, maybe that was his question as
No,
well.
no, I was on mute. I apologize. In your work group, I noticed that you didn't have a member of any onboarding teams in there, and I'm wondering if that was by design or maybe a slight overlook. Because if the goal is to get employees access and
Mhm.
set up by their start date, I assume that BRS would be involved, right? Or is this just from the departmental side?
Just from the departmental side.
Okay. Even if the
Yeah.
precursor steps for the department affect the employee's start?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other questions out there? I'm looking in the chat. Any hands up? Any thoughts while you have Iris? Burning questions, challenges?
I did have another question, Iris. Just wondering when you go through, when you went through this, are you feeling like it's done? Or are you feeling
No.
like there's a phasing that makes sense for you? Or do you feel like it's a journey and it's going to continue as you um, refine and refine and refine? Or go back to certain areas. I find sometimes, when you go back to define, there's something that maybe you didn't think of or the analysis.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about um at least this part of it being like done and you can exit from it? Or is there something that you feel needs to be phased or refined over time?
So one thing that I will share is I am a firm believer in always be improving. So even though I have this smart sheet, I'm always thinking of different ways to improve. Is there something that a column that I can add? Is there an automation I can introduce based on different things that come up? So I think this she is always evolving, but this project will end here, but that work will always be evolving,
And I would,
especially as new policy. Oh, so sorry.
no, go ahead, Iris, finish what you're saying.
I was going to say, especially as like new policies are introduced or things change. Uh, yeah, always be improving, always be evolving.
Really great answer, Irish. And Ingrid, it's a great question. So I would just say at the 50,000 foot view of all this, this question is really important. And continuous improvement is based on iterative cycles, right? And this goes all the way back to hypotheses and the scientific method. And we're working at a university, right? And if you know what the Deming's wheel is, right, it's really being able to continuously improve and not take on too much. So the beauty of Lean Six Sigma, and you saw Iris demonstrate this really well, she saw what she could control, what she couldn't control. There's always going to be things. And I think that's the beauty of this is this type of toolkit allows you to iterate. So you solve a problem, you do it again, and you learn more and more and more. And the more people we have embedded in the fabric of the university doing this, the more we can work together to solve problems. And I will add one more piece. Iris showed you a green belt level project. There are white belt and yellow belt, and if you see something that's not affecting everybody, fix it. We call this rotten fruit. It's kind of funny, but we have a tree and we have all these projects, but there's things all around us that might not need the level of green belt, even yellow belt. We want people to be problem solvers and we want to empower people at the university to fix problems, right? If we all took 5 minutes a day at our desk to fix a problem and said, hey, I'm going to carve out this 5 minutes, and 30,000 people at the university were doing this 5 minutes a day, focused on continuous improvement, we'd all be thinking this way. And so I just really want to say that it's a great question, Ingrid, and it's really a lovely answer, Iris, that you gave, right? We will never be perfect. No human, no job will ever be perfect. And I think I just want to allude that also Iris pointed out the need for humans and used AI at the same time, right? And I think that's really beautiful that she saw and gave an example that hiring impacts someone coming to the university, and that's still a human, and at the same time, she's using AI. We still need people, and we still believe that people are the most important thing. So I just wanted to point that out, Iris, that that's a really lovely piece that you have there. I see a question or a comment from
Well, I
Nick.
was going to dovetail into what you're saying, Chris. One thing too about the scoping of this Greenbelt project that Iris is doing for her certification, we see too many projects out there where people try and do too much. They try and solve every single problem. Scoping a project well, like this one was, let Iris and her team really focus on that one individual problem or a set of solutions that they're trying to implement. The idea of continuous improvement means that once that's tested and you've got it in place, now we look at those other issues. Sometimes then some of those issues are going to be outside your team. So your project team will also reflect what you're trying to solve. So, there's things where Iris called out, we could make improvements if we involved UC Path and spread up EID, but that's out of our control. There's gonna be a lot of things sometimes out of the control, and we figure out what we can do now and go beyond that as we can. There's things we can do now today. So great job, Iris.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Iris, for sharing, and you've done an amazing job. I know you worked hard on this, and you did an amazing job. I'm really happy, and I'm proud of all the work that you did. So great job.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
All right. So in the last minute or two that we have left, if you want to either say it out loud or put it into the comments, any successes, challenges, or any shout outs that you would like to share with anyone. I'll start. A success is Iris completing her Greenbelt project. Good job. The next phase, just so everyone knows, the next phase is I think we're at a spot now we have to send this to a review board to the Lean Six Sigma company in the Netherlands, and they're going to review all the work that she did. And if everything looks good, then she'll get her official full certification. So great job.
Do I get an actual belt, like a WWE belt? Do I get a hat?
Yeah, I'm right on that. I'll get that ordered. All right, looks like some people are putting some.
Looks like people are really interested in belts, so we might have something we got to have here. I
We
really
might have to
like
we might have
it's
to get some
really,
belts.
really good
I
stuff.
think that might be an incentive. And one thing that I would like to do is start, like I'm not sure if they still do this anymore, but the rack forums where they would have the big posters talking about the the research, I think it'd be great to put the Greenbelt projects on a poster and display them across campus, well, at least in Cal Hall anyway, and then maybe in UDAR. And then Iris, maybe we will give you a belt.
I did want to share that I am more than happy to talk offline with anybody that has any additional questions or interested in the Greenbelt and getting their project started. I'm more than happy to be a resource.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Iris. Real quick, in the last 30 seconds, actually, we might be out of time now, but just so everyone knows, we do have a lot of resources for folks. We do have office hours every Wednesday. Feel free to come. It doesn't have to be a process question. It can be about anything about project management, change management, etc. Feel free to join us anytime on Wednesdays. We do have a contact us form on our website, so you can also reach us through there, or you can send any one of us a direct email. Process manager for documenting of your processes if you're not already in there. Here's where you can sign up to get access. We do have obviously our website that has a lot of information, and we have a portal that has additional training materials and best practices and templates and whatnot. That's growing like literally every day. I'm adding stuff on there, so check that out. And then of course, again, our Lean Six Sigma training. We have the white belt, yellow belt, and the green belt, and we also have black belt if you're interested. Please let me know. All right. Does anybody have any last questions or comments?
There's a question about the office hours, and just to kind of answer that here, there is drop-in office hours. You don't need an appointment. If you do have an appointment and like specific topic, we can make sure we're staffed for it. So if you know you're get coming, let us know. But otherwise, feel free to drop in. And as Mike said, it's pretty broad, the questions. So a lot of questions here about smart sheets. So I'm one of our experts for that. So anything you need to know, let me know.
All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Iris, again for presenting. Great job. All right. Thanks, everybody.